Fed Chair Jerome Powell actually said economic growth seems to be slowing from last year. Joining us from the newsroom, Yahoo Finance's Brian Cheung. You were at the press conference. You asked the chair, what was a key question? What's it going to take to move interest rates higher or lower? He didn't really answer you directly, did he?
No, and as you mentioned, the big headlines from yesterday's press conference was that the Fed would remain on pause with rate hikes and keep levels at the current range of 2.25 to 2.5%. But the big interesting thing was actually from the SEP dot plots, where it actually signaled that we might only get one rate hike through the end of 2021, with rates basically staying the same through the rest of 2019. But it raised the interesting question, as the Fed remains on pause and in the absence of any sort of fiscal policy, with the tax stimulus wearing off and also with no plans on an infrastructure bill, what is the balance of monetary policy and fiscal policy? That's a question I asked the chair, and this is what he had to say.
So we take fiscal policy as as exogenous to what we do. In other words, we're at whatever happens with fiscal policy, we take that. We don't evaluate it. We don't criticize it, and we don't overreact to it either. So I think it's just a fact. It's just an external fact about the economy for us. I mean, our policy is the reason we're on hold is that we think our policy rate's in a good place, and we think the economy's in a good place.
So the chair not necessarily saying that he, thinks that the Fed needs to react in a specific way to the absence of fiscal policy, but did basically acknowledge that the Fed won't, as he said, overreact to any sort of policies that could come in the second half of this Trump administration. But it does raise questions about whether or not there could be stimulus from either monetary or fiscal sides in terms of keeping this economic expansion going and fending off that slowdown that we hear so much about.